Great news, y'all. The book came a day early. I'm about to read Kim's Lost Words, A Journey for Justice from the Other Side. This book was ghostwritten for the spouse, significant other of P. Diddy by a person writing under a pen name who, when Diddy was arrested, felt comfortable carrying out the wishes of the deceased wife of P. Diddy. This is her first-hand account of her life with Diddy, witness to murders, sex assault. Basically, it alleges that she was always just kind of a beard and that Diddy was a closeted gay man, which is kind of strange. But basically, in light of the current RICO charges against this person and a huge network of other people, she names names. And she gives gritty, dirty details. And this book is exploding all over the internet right now, and we're going to read the whole thing from beginning to end. You might hear my dog, you might hear my husband, you might hear some door hinges. We're going straight through no matter what. And then in part 2, which I will probably make tonight if I have any fuel left in the tank, will be nothing but commentary and discussion about what we read. So right now we're going to dive right into the book. Part 2 will be a discussion. So here we go. Kim's Lost Words, A Journey for Justice from the Other Side by Jamal T. Millwood. That is a cheeky pen name. Apparently there's some loaded meaning that goes along with that pen name. I'll do some research and figure out what that's all about. Disclaimer. One of Kim Porter's final wishes was for this memoir/diary to be made public. Out of protection for certain parties and their potential criminal activity, some celebrities, performers, and events have been represented with X's, so they kind of redact it, due to their highly explosive nature. At some point in the future, the information will be revealed to the public, probably through this court case and all the discovery that's going to come about. Regarding Kim's sudden death and the mysterious illness of Al Bashir and Jamie Foxx, evidence does exist that points to foul play and or poisoning. So basically, they're alleging that she was poisoned. And that somehow, that's been a long-standing rumor on the internet, but we'll talk about that later. God bless Kim Porter and all of Shawn Combs' victims, both male and female. Table of contents. So there's 19 chapters. It's a very short book. It's only like 60 pages, so we won't be here long. Chapter 1, Introduction. Soon after high school, I started landing modeling jobs. I couldn't believe it. It was all happening so fast. I met my husband, father of my oldest child, and one of my oldest friends in life, Al Bashir. It was a whirlwind romance. I was only 19 when we married, and no, it didn't work out. Al is still one of my best friends to this day. Our son Quincy is such a talented and wonderful young man. At that time, I had no idea my relationship with Al was going to introduce me to the man I would spend the better part of my adult life with, a man whom I would love and cherish, but eventually fear and hate. I don't want to put the cart before the horse, but I will say, although I knew what was going on, I turned a blind eye many times. Here I have to tell this truth, unfortunately, because deep down I knew everything that was happening, but I lied to myself a lot. He was so charming, a wolf in sheep's clothing, a devil, and I fell for it. This story must be told despite the fact that it will hurt my children. I cannot hide it any longer. Shawn Combs must be stopped. Chapter 2, Humble Beginnings. I was born to loving parents, Jake Porter and Sarah L. Porter, in the Peach State of Georgia. All through Columbus High School, where I graduated in 1988, I knew I was going to be famous. In the 10th grade, one of my best friends, Tina, said to me, "You won't make it here in Georgia." I knew if I really wanted to be famous, I would have to leave my hometown and my home, Georgia. That conversation was so important as I look back now. It changed my life. I met Al while I was working in the industry. He was so dope and charming, and I had a crush on him. We were married before I knew it, and Quincy was on the way. But I was young, and it just felt like it wasn't going to last. It was a little heated between us after we separated, but we got past that quickly. He is just a super dope guy and an amazing father. Though we separated, we are forever bonded through Quincy. Thank you, Al. I will always love you. When I met Shawn, he was cool. I didn't think much of him at the time. He was just another guy at the label. Uptown was huge, and we were all living our best life. But Shawn continued to lay on the charm, and before I knew it, we were dating. As a young single mom at one of the hottest companies in the world, life couldn't get any better. Then it did. My boyfriend was getting even bigger. He and Clive would hang out a lot, but I didn't think anything of it. I mean, that was his boss, and he was doing things bigger than most men dare to even dream. Then it happened. I mean, okay, I was a little bit of a freak. I really enjoyed myself with my partner, and toys are one thing, but I never imagined having a man I was dating ask me to use a toy on him. It ramps up fast, y'all. The first time, he said he just wanted to experiment, try something new. I was grossed out, but he kept begging. He said it would only be this one time, and he was just curious. I was only 20 at the time. I said, what the hell? I hated it. He bled from it, and there was poop on it. Ugh. I left him alone after that. Chapter 3, Second Chances. Shawn kept reaching out, and I kept ignoring his calls. Eventually, in a few weeks, we ran into each other at an event. He came over and sat next to me. We were cordial. He flattered me by saying, "You look so amazing." I replied with a smile, "Thanks, Shawn." I tried to get up to leave, but he pulled my arm. As I turned to him, he looked deep into my eyes and said, "Look, what happened between us was weird, but I really care about you. Can we?" He paused, and I tried to use this as my attempt to escape. I pulled my hand back and said, "Sorry, Shawn, I've got to go. Please, I think I'm falling in love with you. Can we talk?" My breath was taken away. Did he say he loved me? It was so fast. I wasn't aware of this as his manipulation tactic. Not yet. God, I was so young and so naive. He continued, "Let's just have dinner." And I fell for it. 2 days later, we went out for drinks at a lounge in Lower Manhattan. The place was nice. Shawn was really coming up and pulling out all the stops to impress me. He pulled out the chair for me to sit. Back then, he was always a gentleman. He smiled and said, "Look," as he sat across from me, "I hated it, and I never want to do it again. Give me another chance." Over coffee the next morning, I decided to give him another chance. For the next year and a half, things seemed pretty normal. It was fun. Things were going great, and we were living the dream that I dreamt about throughout my youth. Shawn and Clive were working on Bad Boy, and he had his first couple of artists. He picked up Craig Mack and then some rapper from the West Coast called Notorious B.I. tried to help Chris develop. By Chris, they mean Chris Notorious B.I.G. He was collaborating with the biggest names in hip-hop to make it happen. Things could not be more amazing. Then he asked me to do it again. It was insane. Shawn said, "Baby, I can't stop thinking about it." And I said, "What the hell are you talking about?" Shawn continued, "I just can't stop thinking about that night. It was amazing. Can you screw me one more time, please?" Oh! I became infuriated. "Why don't you go to Clive? He's the one screwing you, isn't he?" Then Shawn hit me. This was the first time, but he slapped me hard. Before I could form words, he began to beg. I'm sorry." Holding my cheek where he hit me, I turned and ran off. That should have been it. But I guess I'm a glutton for punishment. He sent flowers and a bunch of expensive gifts. Then we bumped into each other at another industry event. He sat down next to me. This was deja vu. Shawn started, "Imagine running into you here." "Get the fuck away from me," I forced out. He became more serious as he said, "Look, baby, I'm sorry." But I just glared at him. "There is nothing you can ever say to me. Nothing." After an awkward silence, he finished, "You know I love you. I love your son. He's my son. I don't know how to fix this, but I'll do anything. I'm sorry." Shit, he can be so sweet. Here we go with the love thing. This time, it's not falling in. He was great with Quincy, and to be honest, despite everything, I missed him. As he stood to walk away, I remember hearing myself saying, "Call me later." What the fuck is wrong with me? Chapter 4, Forgiveness. Shawn arrived with flowers in hand, and he wanted to see Quincy. He was so good with him, and Quincy ran over to hug him. I felt my heart melting. He asked Quincy, "How you doing, Tiger?" Quincy looked so innocent as he responded, "I'm good. I miss you." Shawn's response sounded genuine. "I miss you too. We'll hang out tomorrow, okay?" "Okay." Shawn gave him a little love tap on the butt. "It's bedtime." Quincy replies, "Okay, good night," as he turned to head toward his bedroom. Here was the man I fell in love with, but what was I thinking? Shit, not only does he want butt plugs, he slapped the shit out of me, so why am I still talking to him? They say that love is blind, but is it stupid too? As Quincy left, Shawn looked at me and smiled. Baby, let's go have some fun. The babysitter's on the way. I just want to show you a good time. I was so mad at myself for melting as I said, okay. We sat on the couch laughing and genuinely having a good time when the doorbell rang. The babysitter arrived and we left. As we exited the house, a big man climbed out of the limo and opened the door for us. He wore a sharp suit with a gun noticeably tucked under his arm. I thought to myself, he could have made it invisible, or did he want me to see it? Despite my reservations, Gene was a sweetheart. He was very courteous and polite, and he tipped his head and said, "Good evening, ma'am." Gene drew a smile out of me as I responded, "Hello." Gene and I would see each other a lot after this day. Chapter 5. Shawn kneels. The year passed and, thankfully, we didn't have many bad arguments, although Shawn was strangely getting into voodoo. He put curses on people, and I wasn't sure how to respond to that craziness. My problem as a single mother was I wanted to be married. He always had excuses and delays when it comes to committing to marriage. His label was blowing up, Biggie dropped, and it was just about over. He also signed Mary J. Blige, and of course I found out he slept with her. We fought. He claimed it was a mistake, and my stupid ass took him back again. Shawn asked me for a threesome with her. At first I was mad, but Mary was beautiful. It was our first threesome, and I loved it. Mary was sexy. I would not be doing this a lot, but it was so hot. I was young, and exploring my sexuality was enticing. Over the years, we brought other women into our bedroom periodically, and we were happy. That is until one day I came home to a situation that went from awkward to a nightmare. Quincy was with the babysitter, and Shawn was sitting with Al B. Sure at the dinner table. I had a child with Al, and Shawn was a father in Quincy's life. The awkwardness of us all being together had dissolved a long time ago, but it was still weird that they were here in my home together alone. I sat down and we had drinks. It was fun. The conversation was cool until it wasn't. Al was a little loose after a couple of drinks. I remember him saying, "It's still weird seeing you here with my friend, but you're happy, so I'm happy for you guys." Shawn responded, "Thanks, man. Me and you, we shared so much." Al replied coolly, "Word." That conversation took an odd and awkward turn when Shawn said, "We've all been together sexually, but not together." I was shocked for a moment. As quietness lingered in the room, I asked, "What do you mean by all together?" Al shifted uncomfortably, but Shawn didn't hesitate. "You know how we sometimes invite other people into our bed?" I couldn't believe it. "Oh, hell no, Shawn. This is my son's father. Al, say something." What Al said was mind-boggling. "I don't know. It could be kind of hot. I miss you in that way." Oh, my God. Although I couldn't believe Shawn would do this, the truth was I still cared about Al, and this would be very hot. I just didn't want it to end up messing up my relationship, and if things became awkward, how would it affect Quincy? So I asked, "Are you both sure?" I imagined both of them inside me. I knew this would be awkward sexually. There would be some bumping of genitals, but what happened next I couldn't have imagined in my wildest dreams. Al, blank. So remember when they said they were putting all the X's? It's just X out. I couldn't believe it. I stood there in shock. But when Shawn blank, 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 I ran out of the room. What does it say? This was too much. I couldn't. Shawn called out to me, "Oh, come on, Kimmy." They didn't chase after me. They blank, blank, blank. It's X'd out. See that? It's X'd out. I couldn't get the image out of my head. I couldn't be with Shawn for a while. But that wouldn't be the last time I saw Shawn in a compromising position. Not by a long shot. One day I found the vault where he kept all of his encounters with men. Yes, he kept a record of it. But that's for later. Chapter 6. Biggie took over East Coast hip-hop, and Shawn was the brilliant mind that orchestrated it. He hired people to teach Chris how to flow and write his lyrics. He hired the best producers to do the beats, although he took credit for them, and the music was unstoppable. At this point, Shawn was sleeping with all of the power players, and everybody that wanted to do music wanted to be a bad boy. Shawn wheeled and dealed in a way that would have been unthinkable to many. He slept with the guys that really controlled music to stay on top. A lot of the names average people have never heard of. These are the guys that make decisions on who is winning and who is not. He hosted parties that were just a fancy name for orgies, and everyone wanted in. When I met Tupac, Shawn and I had an open relationship, and yes, I slept with Pac. Shit, he was sexy. Shawn didn't mind. Well, not until he tried to get Pac to join both of us. Pac was not good with that. This is where the relationship between them became strained. Tupac wasn't going to accept Shawn's advances. Pac wasn't gay, and he was pissed about the advances. We were all in Shawn's house. I was drinking, and they were smoking, and everyone was just relaxing. Shawn came in on what I'm sure he would call a smooth approach. My baby is bad, isn't she? Pac threw me a sly smile. Hell yeah. I felt myself blush. Shawn was now in full swing. You think you hit it better than me? I couldn't believe he disrespected me that way. I was not playing with my response. Shawn, what the fuck? Pac came to my defense. Damn, bro, you ain't got to do the sister that way. Tupac appeared upset behind Shawn's words, but Shawn went in for the kill regardless. I think my dick's bigger than yours. I bet I can make her come faster than you. What's up? Pac was appalled. What the fuck are you talking about? I can't say the next word, but it's written fully out. It's the N word. I can't say that. What the F are you talking about? Beep. I ain't trying to run no fucking train. Shawn said, what are you scared of? Let's just see who fucks better. Let her be the judge. Yes, at this point we had been inviting others into our bed for a while, but I am not used to and will not stand for disrespect. I wasn't the only one upset. Pac shouted, N-word, you keep talking about pulling your fucking dick out. Shawn was undaunted. What, are you scared? Tupac simply left. Oh, I hadn't heard this part yet. I heard a lot of the other parts. I hadn't heard this part. Things were contentious then. The two could not be in the same room. Pac avoided me as much as he did Shawn. When they did bump into each other, the tension was palpable. It felt like blows could be thrown at any moment. Months passed with the tension only building between them. It was uncomfortable, but nothing life or death. Then one day, while we were all at the studio, it happened. I walked into Shawn's office, and he was having the conversation. Shawn sat across from Jimmy Henchman. I have no idea who that is. Pac, don't leave that studio alive. I don't think I was supposed to hear it. I continued as if I didn't. Hey, Shawn. Good morning, Jimmy. They didn't seem to think I heard either. I'm ordering breakfast. Smiling, Shawn replied first. Let me get eggs sunny side up with grits and orange juice. I could see he was hungover. Good. I don't want him knowing I know anything. If he just put a hit on Pac, knowing something could be dangerous. Jimmy, apparently not hungry, said, nothing for me. As he stood to exit the room, he said to Shawn, let's make that happen. Then nodded to me and said, Kim, always a pleasure. With a wink to me, a nod to Shawn, he turned and walked out. Jimmy was a part of our intimate circle. I went on as if nothing was happening. We'll make the call now. I smiled as I left, hoping I wasn't white as a sheet. I wasn't in the studio the night Pac survived being shot, thank God. From what I understand, Shawn and Chris saw Pac at the studio after he'd been shot and did nothing. The way God works, after being shot, Pac made it to the elevator and tried to escape, but it stopped at the first floor Shawn and Chris were on. When the doors opened, they saw him lying on the elevator floor, riddled with bullets. The fact that they didn't call an ambulance, although they saw Pac lying there, swimming in a pool of his own blood, would be all the evidence Pac ever needed. He, of course, assumed they placed the hit, and Tupac is a soldier. This isn't something that will be unanswered. Tupac didn't do well. He lost a testicle, but he survived. It was orchestrated, and Shawn Puffy Combs was the orchestrator. They just said that somebody shot Tupac's huevo off. Oh my God. I need a water break. I'll be right back. Okay, I had to get my little reading light because my set here is very dark and I can't see, so it looks like a little bit. Anyway, Chapter 7. At this point, I knew I had to get away from him, but I was scared. Is he going to take my life if I try to escape? One February evening, I thought I found my opportunity at dinner after an event. We were in a ritzy restaurant in a private booth. It was an exclusive setup. We were alone, but we were in public. Perfect. Shawn was on the phone talking to an unknown listener as he sat down. His words on that call will be etched into my mind forever. We're going to release Who Shot Ya now. He waited for a response. I had to get my little reading light because my set here is very dark and I cannot see the book. Okay. At this point, I knew I had to get away from him, but I was scared. Is he going to take my life if I try to escape? One February evening, I thought I found my opportunity at dinner after an event. We were at a ritzy restaurant in a private booth. It was an exclusive setup. We were alone, but we were in public. Perfect. Shawn was on the phone talking to an unknown listener as he sat down. His words on that call will be etched into my mind forever. We're going to release Who Shot Ya now. He waited for a response. Then he went on to say, of course they're going to think it was Big talking about Pac. That's the whole fucking point. Nobody would give a fuck about a diss track against LL fucking Cool J. That's funny. Do you know how much beef we make? You know how much money we make with this kind of rap beef? Ninjas will be battling after someone really got shot. Oh my goodness. This might not be the best time for this conversation. Shawn was finishing up. We drop that shit tomorrow. He listened into the phone and then responded, there's going to be blood in the street. N-words missed. Pac's alive. Let's capitalize on that shit. When he responds, it's just going to mean more money. He turned around and looked at me, spoke back into the phone. I'll call you back. Then hung up and spoke to me. What's wrong? I tried my best to give him a fake smile at what I'd heard. After all, me and Pac were intimate. I responded, nothing. Shawn wasn't fooled. Are you sure? His demeanor was threatening, but I responded as cool as I could muster to his intimidating stare. Yeah, of course. He took my hand, saying, that's wonderful. He began to squeeze my hand until it hurt as he continued, because seeing you walk in the office while I was talking about killing that motherfucker and you not saying shit to me had just a little bit concern. His grip was starting to hurt badly. You're hurting me. As he continued, he squeezed tighter. You're pretending you didn't hear anything was a sign of your loyalty to me, not something I should be concerned about with, right? I had no choice but to give him the answer he wanted. I knew I was trapped when I responded, of course I'm loyal to you. He let me go as he responded, good, and remember, I'm the big dick. He snatched my hand back in pain. He smiled and said, let's start off with the good wine. He snapped his fingers, and his favorite wine was poured for him. They knew what Shawn wanted, and what he wanted, he got. I'm trapped. Now isn't the time for me to launch my escape plan. I have to be strategic. It's going to be hard to leave the glamour, the glitz, the lifestyle. I mean, this man just snapped his fingers on one of the most exclusive restaurants in New York City, and they poured his drink of choice. That bottle of wine is $800, and this is 1994. The list to get in this place is 6 months long if you're somebody. Mayor Giuliani has a table here tonight also. If I got up and walked out, I would be safe. But what about tomorrow? I had to think. He sipped his wine and smiled. You're not drinking? He pointed at my glass, and of course a waiter filled it. They knew what I liked as well. Shawn has a bad temper. He yells sometimes, and okay, he's roughed me up once or two, but he's never punched me, and he never bruised me, and he never hit Quincy. I would not have stood for that. He never laid a hand on my son. At that time, I never thought of him touching Quincy in any way. Then the significance of what he said hit me. Is he mad at Tupac over me? I'm the big dick. Oh my God. The last time he put his hands on me, it was because I enjoyed Jamie Foxx too much. Shit, he enjoyed Jamie too. He gets so insanely jealous. It's not fair. He wants to bring other men into the bedroom, but he gets jealous when I do. Okay, I thought I read that wrong. Damn, you're quiet tonight, he said, snapping me back into the present. I asked a question that was burning in my mind since I walked into that office. What does Chris think of this? He looked at me coolly and said, his fat ass better just keep doing music. A third guest was escorted over by security. Shawn motioned for him to sit. A waiter walked over to Shawn Carter and asked, would you like something? Carter responded, no thank you, and then said hello to me with a smile. Smiling, I replied, "Hey, Carter," and took a sip of my drink. The Shawns may share a bed together from time to time, but thankfully I was never asked to join. Carter went on to speak to Shawn. "I thought we were meeting in private." Shawn replied with a nonchalant shrug. "I had to discuss something with her. It's fine. Go ahead." He wielded that kind of power. Carter shifted uncomfortably in his chair before continuing. It's true. Chris and Pac were about to start their own label." Shawn slammed his fist against the table, shouting, "Doesn't he have any fucking loyalty?" Carter, "Well, that's not happening now, right?" Shawn peered at Carter with distrust. "Why the fuck are you so eager to share this with me?" "Chris is your man. Fuck, he brought you on and you're stabbing him in the back?" Carter responded with indignity. "First, I'm tired of being that ninja's son. I need to come out." I get so uncomfortable, even saying ninja. First, I'm tired of being that guy's son. I need to come out from under his damn shadow." Shawn smiled slightly. "Okay, I respect that." Carter kept going. "On top of that, that guy's making that move, and it should have been with me." Shawn looked at Carter blankly. "Pac put Chris on. You know this. What's this really all about, Carter? Don't try to fucking play me." The Jay-Z of today wasn't born yet, and this Shawn Carter was in over his head. Cornered, he had to spill it out. "I wanted his spot." "Ambition," Shawn said. "Now that is a man I could work with." Shawn made a grandiose gesture toward Carter. "Waiter, get this motherfucker whatever he wants." Carter smiled. "Thank you," Shawn responded. "Honesty and ambition. We're going to make a lot of bread together." Carter ordered a drink. As he stated again, "Guess we won't be leaving with that guy to do their own label. Guess he won't be leaving with that guy to do their own label now." Shawn responded with his normal air of arrogance. "Why don't you let me worry about that?" I took this as my cue to escape. I told Shawn, "I'm going to go ahead and go back to Quincy." Shawn was wrapped up in his conversation with Carter and barely noticed as he excused me. "Have the limo drop you off." We didn't eat. He didn't care. I smiled and kissed him on the cheek and left. Chapter 8. We're about halfway through. Actress, model, and fashion designer Kadada Jones was Tupac Shakur's fiancée and is the daughter of record producer Quincy Jones and actress Peggy Lipton. Being around other celebrities was just a part of life. Meeting Kadada was just one of those events, and as time went on, we became close. We hung out together, went shopping, and so on. It was about the same time I met Kimora Lee Simmons. Those were the days, or so I thought. We always had girl talk, and the fact she was dating someone I previously had been with wasn't a source of contention. We didn't get jealous of each other. It was just girl talk stuff. No, I did not become infinite with Kadada. Kimora was too jealous for that. Yes, Kadada knew about Kimora, Shawn, and I all being together sexually. Of course she did. We shared that kind of thing. We were open and honest with each other about almost everything. A true friendship, except I couldn't be open and honest about everything. Not anymore. Shawn made sure of that. Kadada and Pac were the greatest couple. He was always so cool and, yes, sexy. She was so beautiful and fun. Before all the tension and beef, we all used to hang out together, and it was always dope vibes. But with Pac's shooting and all the suspicions surrounding Shawn and Jimmy, the vibes between Kadada and I weren't always perfect. Then came that night. Award shows weren't anything new for us at this point. We dolled up as the men groomed. We didn't choose what we wore. A stylist prepared our color palettes, makeup artist did our makeup, and a hairstylist did our hair. This was just the way of things. We shared the best stylist in the business. Sometimes we would all go to the studio for an event to get our measurements taken, but this time Kadada seemed different. It felt like something was wrong, but when I probed her, she wouldn't say anything. Then the day of the event was here. We would all see each other inside. Even though Shawn was my man, as far as props, I had nothing on Kadada. Being Quincy Jones' daughter had perks, and superstardom was among them. Pac wasn't there. When she saw us, she came over to our table. We sat around kicking it in a very dope vibe. Shawn knew he was going to clean up with this award show. He had all but taken over the East Coast musically, but with all the hits, there was no way he wouldn't. Bad Boy is Hall of Fame stuff now, and Shawn P. Diddy Combs knew it. Shawn smiled at Kadada as she sat at our table, but something about that smile didn't seem authentic. Soon I would know why. He's sick, and when he has a grudge against someone, He's sick when he has a grudge against someone. As far as Shawn said, Bad Boy is going to clean the fuck up. From his table with Faith, Chris replied, hell yeah, and that new shit we busting out gonna have these people sick. Kadada signaled for the waiter to pour her a glass of the ginger ale that sat over at her table. As the waiter refreshed her drink, she said, Pac's music's gonna get some love too. Shawn grimaced. Oh, come on, Shawn. I know y'all got your differences, but you have to admit the man makes great music. Shawn looked at me out of the corner of his eye and then took another sip of his favorite cognac. Bad Boy got the hottest music on the fucking planet, but I ain't tripping. Everybody else got to get their shine, right? Kadada sighed. Shawn, Tupac thinks you were involved in getting him shot. You two were so close. You need to make this right. Shawn responded indignantly. Why the fuck would that dude think I had anything to do with it? Kadada retorted, Shawn, can you blame him? Shawn was obviously not happy with that question by his reply. Hell yeah, I blame him. We had a good thing going, all of us. That dude turned on me, and he has the fucking balls to blame me for his shooting? The indignity he managed to spew out while lying through his teeth was something I did not expect. I was thrown back for a moment before interjecting, do we have to do this tonight? It's Shawn's big night. Kimura heard the ruckus and made her way over to our table as well. She sat down and said, hey, everybody, with that big dimpled smile. I smiled and replied, hey. Kadada also seemed happy to see her as she said, hey, what up, Kimmy? Kimura, never the type to hold her tongue, went straight at it. The whole place is buzzing with the fact that you're sitting here accusing Shawn of having Pac shot. Y'all kind of loud. She laughed. Kadada seemed embarrassed as she looked around to see everybody staring and whispering, but she wasn't about to back off. In fact, she doubled down. Anybody here ain't not talking about it ain't real anyway. We all know Shawn was behind it. Kimura forced a smile. Honey, we don't have to do this here. Kadada made sure she was not to be silenced and continued, oh, let's not hurt the feelings of Shawn Puffy Combs. Uh-oh. He only had one of the most prolific rappers in the game shot. Shawn clenched his hands into fists. If this was anyone else, this would have turned ugly, but this was Quincy Jones' daughter. Shawn was a monster in the street, well feared by men that knew, but he did not want any of the smoke Quincy Jones could bring. Kadada could continue with impunity. Shawn could not touch her. Christopher and Mary, both wanting to defend the super producer that made them famous, both started to stand to make their way over to the table. But Shawn signaled them off with a firm motion of his hand. They remained in their seats watching helplessly. Kadada seemed to be on a full rampage. You're not safe in the streets, Shawn. You think you're untouchable? Kimura seemed almost red in the face when she grabbed Kadada by the hand, saying, I gotta go to the restroom. Kadada, not willing to stop, snatched her hand away, yelling, let go of me. Kimura needed her to get a grip and said sternly as a parent speaking to a child mid-tantrum, Da! Kadada turned to her and yelled, what? Kimura nodded toward the crowded room and Kadada looked around. Here she deflated slightly. Kimura is now in control. Spoke firm but softly, let's go powder our nose. Kadada nodded with a grimace and gave a sharp look back at Shawn as she walked away. As the tension slowly melted away, I asked Shawn, you okay? Shawn didn't reply at first. He looked around, saw that no one was really paying attention now that the ruckus had died down, and stood to get their pitcher of ginger ale from Kadada's table. He poured himself a drink from it, looked around again, saw that no one was paying attention, and put the pitcher under the table. What was he doing? Then I heard the distinct sound of liquid being poured into the liquid. Oh my God, is he peeing in the pitcher? He smiled at me as he brought the picture back from under the table and finally replied to me, I'm good. Then he stood and returned the pitcher to the table. I was in awe. I knew he had a bad temper, but this was disgusting. I'll never eat or drink something after we have an argument again. Kadada and Kimura made their way back to Kadada's table to sit, as Shawn watched on quietly. Shawn made small talk. Which songs do you think they'll give me awards for? As Kadada poured her drink. Shawn's bodyguard made his way over to the table. I think he stopped her from drinking as everyone just sat and watched. Gene risking incurring Shawn's wrath, if I'm right. Relieved, I replied, Babe, your catalog is crazy. It could be a lot of songs. Shawn glared at Kadada's table the entire night. 1 second. Chapter 9, Going Back to Cali. We had a wild night. It was after one of Shawn's infamous parties. Everyone was there. We not only had threesomes, but we also swapped partners. Our sex life was crazy, but I got to do things with Shawn I would never been able to do with a straight man. Shawn cared about me, but it was becoming more and more obvious that he preferred men. I was beginning to think I was there more to cover his wild desires than because he really wanted to be with me. He was like Caesar, every woman's man and every man's woman. But truthfully, at that stage, I was becoming okay with it. I woke up and left the bedroom where I was with Jada Pinkett, and Shawn happened to be coming out of the bedroom with X. It's crossed out again. And Will Smith. Yes, X attended the parties from time to time. I wonder how they make the determination that they're going to out Will Smith, but not whoever X is, right? I could see him and Will kind of snuggled up. I could see him and Will kind of snuggled up on the bed together. I was grateful I wasn't asked to join in that room. I didn't really like X. Shawn smiled when he saw me. Good morning. Here at the orgies, he wasn't very affectionate. He didn't have to pretend, but he couldn't walk straight. I knew how his ass felt, literally. We've had sessions playing with each other's anal cavities. Ugh. I wanted to be home before Quincy woke up, so I told him, I'm getting ready to go. He responded, let's have a cup of coffee first. This meant he wanted to talk. I didn't know what it was about, but in situations like this, I didn't really have a choice. He was becoming more and more violent when he didn't get what he wanted, and I didn't really want to fight, so I sat down. But before we started talking, X came out of the room. Shawn was wearing boxers. X was in his birthday suit. X addressed us, morning. When he turned around in order to close the door, there was a dried cum stain on his back. Ugh! X walked over, pulled a chair out to sit down next to us, and lit up a blunt. Shawn stretched, smiled, and said, this East Coast, West Coast beef is more lucrative than I thought, but it's getting dangerous. X responded, surprised. Business first thing in the morning? Damn, cuz, you on it. But you know you don't got nothing to worry about. You got a pass, daddy. X smiled coyly. Shawn apparently had something to talk about with X as well because he said, I can't protect everybody, especially if someone is no longer going to be on my label. It was apparent X was taken back by this turn of events by his reply. Shawn, are you saying what I think you're saying? Shawn continued, it's taxing on my resources to protect people. Someone that isn't 100% on my team, he can't get 100% of my protection. What the hell is going on here? What did Shawn want from me? This morning is turning out to be way more than I expected, and I have to go. Quincy will be looking for me. Meanwhile, X apparently wanted clarity. So, to be clear, if something happened, X made air quotes with his fingers, to one of your artists that was leaving your label anyway, it would be considered, makes another set of question marks, out of your control. Is that what you're saying? But wait a minute. Can they be talking about Biggie? Is Shawn saying he won't protect Biggie? At this point, I was too young, too naive, too hungover to understand that this was not a lack of protection. This was a hit. Where did this come from this morning? But an older, wiser me understands now what I did not comprehend all those years ago. Shawn was just getting to the real reason that he had X there. The world was about to lose Biggie. X laughed. You a cold motherfucker. Why should I protect someone who's not going to stick around? I made him. That guy's going to be worshiping the ground I fucking walk on. I was thinking, Shawn's ego was rearing its ugly head, and I wanted to get out of there, but instincts told me I need to tread carefully. So my next move has to be calculated. I don't really want any part of this, not even implicitly, but I was just dragged right into the middle of it. If what was happening here ever comes out, will I be held as an accomplice? But even as those thoughts crossed my mind, I just could not pretend this was okay. So I said, but Shawn, he hasn't left yet. They're just rumors. Are you going to let him die because of some rumors? Shawn glared at me. The anger in his voice obviously kept stemming from hurt as he said, I know when I'm being betrayed. I'm not killing anyone, but I'm not protecting somebody that doesn't have my back 150%. Fuck that. This was railing out of control. My mind began to race. Is there a way to get through to him? Maybe I could use the finance route. Shawn, he's bringing in so much money. You put so much money into cultivating him. Are you going to throw away all that money? That's when he revealed how thought out this meeting really was. If he leaves, he takes all the money I invest into creating him, Shawn sighs. But if he can't protect himself and something terrible does happen, then the money I would make off his death could blow away all the money we made so far. I was perplexed. Shawn, he continued, he's worth more dead than alive. Shawn is a calculated monster. X chimes in. I get that, fam. A lot of people out there want Biggie dead, too. Without your protection, he doesn't stand a chance in Cali. Biggie's going to die. This is crazy. I dare not say anything else about it. Shawn smiles and stands to walk over to a safe behind a picture. There he pulls out a bag marked with X's name. He turns to X and says, that's why you're worth your weight in gold. You understand me. Here's a little something for you to take care of my people. X smiles. Shawn, I love you, baby. You know I got your back. Your problems are my problems. I'll make sure to have my people take care of your people. I need to get out of here. This is crazy. I attempted to leave again. Shawn, I want to get to Quincy before he wakes up. Shawn looked at me responding, it's getting late. Give him a kiss from me. I'm going to get out of here. Thank God. X always was something to say. I'd love to meet the little tyke sometime. Not a chance in hell. Something about this guy creeps me out. I forced a smile. That would be great. And I made my exit. What can you even say? What can you even say? Oh, I need a bear. So that's the end of Going Back to Cali chapter. Lord have mercy. All right, we keep going. Chapter 10. We got 7 little chapters to go. Chapter 10, The Lives You Tell. At this point, the relationship between Shawn and I had been on and off for a while, and we were off at this point. He put his hands on me again, this time for something that didn't even happen. It was all in his head. When the phone rang, I picked it up anyway. Hi, Shawn. He sounded trepidatious as he said, we've been broken up for a while this time. Yeah, he continued. I don't want anyone to know about my, He paused to search for the right word. Proclivities, I replied. So you don't want people to know you're gay? Shawn exploded. See, that's why I fucking lose control on you. So I just plainly stated, goodbye, Shawn. Wait, he screamed. What, Shawn? I'm sorry, okay? You're always fucking sorry. He took a deep breath. I have to do something to cover myself. Do whatever the fuck you want, Shawn. When you see me in the news, it's not real. This made me calm down a moment. What is he talking about? He continued, I'm only doing it for the press. Doing what, Shawn? After a long pause, he continued. She knows what this is. She's just pretending to cover me. Shawn, what the hell are you talking about? Publicity. I'm going to be dating someone else. A video girl. I laughed. Why would you do that? I have to cover myself. I was getting mad. I was actually angry at myself I was getting angry at myself more than at him. Why was I getting jealous? I was sitting there actually comparing myself to video vixens in my mind. They are thick, but look at my body. Did he prefer those light-skinned, big-butt girls from videos? I calmed myself. No, I know he likes men any damn way. And as I regained control, I asked, why the hell are you telling me? He sighed. I wanted you to find out for me first. Like I give a shit. He came at me with his favorite line. You know I love you. It was getting old. I could only think to myself, here we go. Love is a big, strong word. I'm tired of him throwing it around and using it when it fits his needs. He's using it while he's sitting here telling me about dating someone else. I replied, you don't hit people you love, Shawn. Love doesn't hurt. He sucked his teeth as he responded, come on, are you serious? That shit's for children. We ain't in fucking high school. Sometimes things happen. That doesn't mean I don't love you. I wouldn't hit you if I didn't. Wait, that sounded wrong. You said exactly what you meant, Shawn. He took a breath. There was an awkward silence. There was an awkward silence. The fact I was still on the phone and waiting for him to speak meant he had the power. He was more cautious as he continued. He didn't want to lose that power. Kim, no one that I don't care about can bring that kind of emotion out of me. I wanted to say, is that how you talk to dudes after using the butt plugs on them? But there is a line that I dare not cross. Instead, I said, you say that while you're fucking dating some other bitch? That's just for the public. I was done. It could be heard in my voice as I said, whatever, Shawn, do what you need to do. Leave me alone. I'm never giving up on us, he cried. I responded to that emotional control attempt with the little resolve I could muster. This light is kind of annoying me. That words come tumbling out of my mouth. Shawn, there is no us anymore. Goodbye. Tell Quincy I miss him. He threw out. His emotional manipulation was really driving me crazy. This time I said with much more conviction, goodbye, Shawn. I hung up. Manipulative bastard. Chapter 11, Mo Problems. For a while, I was actually happy to see Shawn gone. I was getting older and the sex parties were out of control. It was getting time for me to slow down. Quincy was getting older. I knew that if I kept going, the rumors circulating were eventually going to find a way to get back to him. What will he think of me? Chris is about to take his trip out to California. I don't know exactly what was going to happen out there, but I felt Tiana Wallace was about to be an orphan. I knew I didn't want any ties to that. As I was sitting there contemplating all of this in my robe, sipping my wine on this Friday evening, my doorbell rings. I was not expecting company. I opened the door and found Shawn. My heart skipped a beat. I was shocked but recovered quickly. I forced a smile and said to him with slightly slurred speech, "Hey, come on in." Shit, I'm way more intoxicated than I thought. Shawn entered, looking around suspiciously, then turned to me and smiled, saying, "You haven't been returning my calls. I just want to make sure you're okay." "I'm fine." He was obviously not here out of concern. He was checking to see who was here. Shawn was controlling like that. Yes, even though we were not together and he was dating someone else. He started to make his way to the living room. I attempted to put a quick end to the visit, but it came out a little more directly than I intended. "So, since you can see I'm fine, you can let me go to bed now." Part of me wanted him to stay. Why? And when you're young like that, you learn very slowly, I guess. As he entered the living room, I was forced to follow Shawn. Shawn was very direct with his next inquiry. "Is someone else waiting for you?" "No, Shawn, but we're not together. You're dating someone else. I can fuck whoever I choose." With this, Shawn became irate. He fiercely slammed me to the ground. Then he pulled out a .22 and sat it on the end table. He turned to me calmly. I was scared. My voice quivered as I pled to him. "Shawn, please stop. Quincy is here." How did we get here? How did we get to the point that he was in my living room threatening me with a gun? He knelt on one knee and got right in my face to say, "You're mine. You don't have a choice in that now. I can't live without you." He stood up, composing himself. I was terrified as I whimpered, "Shawn, that's not love." Shawn picked up his gun and cocked it. He looked at me almost thoughtfully and asked, "Have you ever heard, if I can't have you, no one can?" "Shawn, please don't. Please, Quincy will hear." Shawn smiled and put the gun away, saying, "Oh, this is just for dramatic effect. I would never shoot you. If I was going to kill you, no one will trace it to me. You know how many people I've had to take care of over the years? It would be quiet. Something in your food or your drink. Something that will never get back to me. I wouldn't shoot you. Do you understand?" I could only nod, tears flowing down my cheeks. He looked at me thoughtfully. He reached down to help me up. I couldn't do nothing but agree. He's a terrifying monster. Now he wanted to smooth it over, and I had to go along with it. What else could I do? "Listen, baby, I don't ever want to hurt you. You know I really love you, or I would have moved on. Thinking about living my life without you is just too hard. If someone ever tried to hurt you, I would kill them." My back hurt from where it hit the table when he shoved me. All I could do as he helped me up was nod that I understood through my streaming tears, which he wiped. He looked toward Quincy's room. "Let me say goodnight." "No, Shawn, please." Thinking quickly, "He has to get up in the morning." Shawn looked at me with an unreadable look. He was studying me. "Okay, I'm going to go." Nervously, I walked him to the front door. This is over, thank God. He kissed me. I didn't want him touching me, but I couldn't refuse. Kiss Quincy for me. I tried to keep my composure as I replied, Sure, Shawn. He opened the door to leave. The bodyguard that was waiting outside escorted him to the car. This was far worse than I realized. Why would he need a bodyguard at my front door? How was he anticipating this to go? After I shut the door, I had another drink. For tonight, the nightmare was over. I sipped on my wine and cried. The next few days, he sent dozens of flowers. He bought Quincy expensive toys. He didn't want me. He wanted me to keep his secret. I'm trapped. He has all the authorities under his thumb. I can't go to them. This is like a gangster movie. How high up does his power go? How far is his reach? The FBI, the CIA? Who's not corrupted, or who won't be silenced by the upper chain of command? Can anyone help me and my child? He found his way back to my bed. I had no choice. Chapter 12, A Mama's Love. The calamity that ensued behind the death of Biggie shook the East Coast. It rocked me as well. Shawn could have stopped it. He was complicit in it. He was a contributor. He knew it was going to happen, and he didn't stop it. This was his friend. No, they were not nearly as close as Shawn would have had the public believe, but still. As far as Shawn was concerned, we were great. To the public, we were just having the on and off again relationship of a normal couple. And I probably seemed like a money-hungry hoe. But the truth is, I just got used to having no choice. Today, I recognize it for what it was. Stockholm Syndrome. I was at his beck and call and had become comfortable with it. Quincy had everything he could ever want, with the exception, of course, of a normal parental figure. This is why this chapter is so powerful for me. A mother's love is so real. One night, I was out with my boyfriend. Yes, we were on again, and we were joined for dinner by none other than Miss Wallace. She looked over as security allowed Miss Wallace to approach the table and sit. Miss Wallace spoke with a smile. Hello, Shawn. Hello, Kim. I smiled the best I could. What a situation. For all intents and purposes, she's sitting with her son's killer. I hope my voice didn't betray my feelings as I said, Hi, Miss Wallace. Shawn smiled also as he said, Hello, Miss Wallace. What can I do for you? When I got your call, it sounded urgent. He was able to appear as if he was smiling warmly. This was the creepiest situation of my entire life. She looked at Shawn with pleading eyes. I know this isn't your problem, but things have gotten kind of hard. I was hoping you could send some of that money that Chris made with you this way. Shawn shook his head. That's not just something I can just do. There are attorneys, accountants. Maybe I can help you out with a little something to get you past the hump. Shawn reached into his pocket to dig for his wallet. I haven't even seen how much Chris left. It's going on 2 years. Just how long is this going to take? Shawn sighed as he replied, These things are difficult, Mrs. Wallace. I don't know. The attorneys don't make this easy. Mrs. Wallace pushed further. I don't understand what's so difficult. He worked for you. He made his money. Where is it? Shawn shook his head as if saddened by what he was hearing as he continued. It's not like I can just give you his money. You're entitled to certain amounts, and they're just trying to figure out what that amount is. I don't mean to sound cruel, but it wouldn't be fair to me just to give you tons of money. You got rich off my son, and now you're keeping all of his money. Shawn kept his cool as he replied, I'm afraid business isn't that cut and dried, Mrs. Wallace. I paid for publishing, publicity. I mean it in all actuality, if I'm going to be straightforward, Mrs. Wallace. Chris probably owed me money. I won't know until it's all worked out. The anger in Mrs. Wallace's voice barely overshadowed the pain, or perhaps it magnified it as she uttered the only words she could muster. You bastard! Shawn didn't flinch. He just said, Look at the contract. I'm honestly trying to get him as much as possible out of it, but I have investors. I can't just take money that doesn't belong to him and start giving it away. Ms. Wallace exploded in response. You know good and well Chris didn't owe you a damn thing. Shawn stared at her straight in the eye unwaveringly and said, he would have started making a profit after a few years. His money, until all of his album sales paid for studio time, music videos, publishing, marketing, would have come from doing shows. I'm sorry he isn't here to make that money. I miss him. Her response was deadpan. Did you kill my son? Momentarily, Shawn was stunned into silence. She asked again, her voice quivering. Did you? He started, Miss Wallace. She would not be directed. Answer the question! I was not used to seeing Shawn on the defensive. No, of course not. She looked at him with spite, the anger in her voice enough to send shivers up my spine as she responded with the menace only a mother can. I don't believe you, Shawn. Shawn looked at her with a sadness that I knew in my soul to be fake. Although looking at him without context, anyone would believe him as he replied, I'm sorry to hear that. Today I know he was able to muster that false sincerity because he's a sociopath. Back then, I thought it was compassion. With no more words, Miss Wallace stood up and left. Shawn watched her exit with disbelief. Not knowing what to do, I placed my order. Dinner that night was long and silent. I feared for Miss Wallace's life. Shawn is the most dangerous when he feels threatened. No, she could not physically threaten him, but this threat was very real. If she goes public with her accusations, Shawn's image would be damaged. I have felt for myself the extent he would go through. I have felt for myself the extent he will go through to protect that image. Chapter 13, Have Some Faith. The fact of the matter is, Shawn was a complete control freak. He was absolutely the worst, but all of the things he did for control, this might be one of the most despicable ones. We were in the bad boy office one evening, sitting in the lounge area enjoying a meal. Shawn was smoking one of those big cigars he liked when Faith entered and sat down with us. She seemed relaxed as she said, Hey guys. I smiled. I never had any bad vibe from that marvelous Faith Evans. We never talked about the wild time the three of us shared at one of Shawn's sex parties. I gave her a hug. Hey girl, what's up? Shawn smiled and asked, Hey, what brings you out? She addressed Shawn saying, Look, when you asked me to hook up with Chris, I understood. You needed to control him. I felt honored that you would choose me to monitor one of your most valuable assets. Chris is sweet, Shawn laughed and said. Honestly, I knew you would be good. Make the big man feel loved. I don't feel good about this, Shawn. Shawn got that look in his eye he gets before he blows his top. Faith saw it also. She treaded carefully. Shawn, you know I'm as loyal as they come. Shawn leaned forward, unintentionally threatening, and said in a low tone, Yeah? But Shawn, Chris and I had a child together. Shawn leaned back. He let out a deep breath. I'm going to take care of you. You're not like Chris. You're loyal. Faith had a tear in his eye as she responded, He didn't have to die. This is getting very touchy. Did she know? Did she suspect? Was this her trying to find out if Shawn intentionally killed Biggie? I wanted to ask, but of course there was no way of doing that. This is so crazy. Shawn sighed and replied, He didn't. Don't get me wrong. I miss him, but he was leaving me anyway. No one cares about my pain. Classic narcissistic Shawn. It's all about him. I was sickened for a moment, but his next sentence made me feel for him anyway. I wanted to share all this with him. He was my man. I wanted to share all this with him. He was my man. Faith couldn't hide the anger that flared in her eyes, but she knew who she was talking to. She was careful as she spoke. Shawn, you have your friends you share things with. Shawn sat forward again, this time with a malicious intention as he queried, What the fuck is that supposed to mean? Chris had no one, only you. Shawn lost it. That fat fuck and that other piece of shit I had you fuck? He interjected while in shock. You had her fuck, Pac? Shawn glared at me as he answered, Yes, fucking Pac. Those motherfuckers were going to try to start their own label and compete with me. Me, after all I did for that fat fuck. Nah, I wasn't going to use resources to protect that motherfucker. No fucking way. As Faith started to cry, Shawn looked at her and softened slightly. He spoke a little calmer. Look, I don't hate him. I was hurt. But I'll make sure you and CJ are taken care of. Without words, Faith got up to leave. As she turned, Shawn spoke softly. Faith. She ignored him. He called her, Faith. She exited quickly. Shawn just looked at me and said, Damn. I really didn't know what to say. Shawn just told Faith that he wouldn't protect her husband because he was going to leave Bad Boy. From a business perspective, I didn't disagree with Shawn there. If you're leaving and creating competition for him, why would he spend resources on you? So I hugged Shawn, but I also knew he didn't have to send Chris to California. I wondered if he realized that he sentenced him to death. He hugged me back with tears in his eyes, and he asked, how the fuck am I the bad guy, huh? I do nothing but fucking bust my ass to make everyone live comfortably, and I'm supposed to just let dudes walk all over me. As I held him in a comforting embrace, I replied, no, baby. He took me right there on the couch. Like I said, Stockholm Syndrome. Okay, chapter 14. Outshine. This particular evening, I was at Shawn's house, and Quincy was staying with a friend. It was some alone time for Shawn and I until the doorbell rang, and Shawn got up to answer it. I heard a woman yelling and quickly realized it was Jennifer Lopez, or better known to the world as J-Lo. Shawn, what the fuck? She blasted. Shawn responded calmly, relax, baby. Why the hell do you have to go start shooting? Isn't that what we have bodyguards for? Normally, when these kind of situations arise, I remain quiet and just listen. I play my position, you could say, but I wasn't paying attention to the news for the last day or so, and even though I thought it would be the only thing anyone would talk to me about for months, no one had spoken to me about it yet. So I entered the foyer asking, what's going on? Jennifer exploded at me. What's going on? What's going on? This dude shot up a damn club. My jaw dropped, looking back and forth between the two. Shawn spoke soothingly. Jen, you gotta calm down. Jennifer was having none of it. She continued, calm down, you shot a bunch of innocent people, Shawn. Shawn placed his hand on her forearm. It's a bonding technique. He was shrewd in handling her. He does this to me too. Even if you know what he's doing, it works. It's an intimate contact without being personal. He was aiming to disarm her. This would immediately sway Jennifer as she continued. Why in the hell do you think Biggie's replacement will take the fall for you? Biggie's replacement? Wait, could she talk? Who could she talk? Are you talking about Shine? Jennifer didn't even look at me as she responded. Yes, fucking Shine. Shawn continued with a calm and stern voice. Relax. The situation is under control. Jennifer was not calming down. She went on, they contacted my attorney for my statement, and there are a lot of witnesses, Shawn. There is no way you're going to get away with this. Shawn's arrogance can be immeasurable at times. He laughed as he asked, you doubting me? I couldn't believe it. I had to know. Shawn, what could you offer him that would make him do a bid for you? Like, what the fuck? Jennifer also remarked, and what if he falters halfway through his sentence and starts talking? Shawn responded as calmly as ever, he won't do that. People in jail don't cross-connect to people on the outside. Jennifer looked deflated. So you'll kill him too? How much does she know? Look, I'm not going to threaten anyone. Shine is smart and loyal. He knows how it works, and when he gets out, he'll be well taken care of. Jennifer spoke defiantly. Shawn, they want to question me. I'm not perjuring myself. I'm not going to jail over this. Shawn seemed so in control. I admired him for it at this point, but my spirit was broken. I felt bad for Jennifer. She catches one bad break after another, and this was a really bad break. Shawn spoke with confidence. Relax. Come in. Have a drink. Have your lawyers call mine. You will never see the witness stand. I promise. Jennifer wasn't so sure. She asked him, how can you possibly know that? Shawn smiled as he replied, between Shine's confession and the witnesses that they gave their accounts, the cops won't need much else. The statement from your lawyer will be fine. Jennifer's next concern popped up. She explained, my attorney, Shawn, he's good, but he won't do this. Beaming with confidence, the only way a man with certain net worth can, Shawn responded, sure he will. Jennifer shook her head defiantly as she responded, Shawn, you don't know him. Shawn's unbreakable confidence was ruling the day. Jennifer was giving in as he told her with a smile, I got this. Shawn, are you sure? Shawn gave a wink. My attorneys handle situations. Give him my number too. Jennifer seemed leery as she asked, you're not going to threaten my attorney? Shawn laughed as he replied, no, of course not. Money talks, baby. He turned to me and said, take her inside and pour her a drink. I had a question of my own. But you were going to make Shine the label's go-to man. What are you going to do now? Shawn looked disappointed as he responded. He had the voice, but his flow... He sighed. Well, artists with his talent are a dime a dozen. Looking at Jen, he continued. He's not in a once-in-a-lifetime find like Jennifer Lopez. Now he's throwing on the charm. Despite the situation, she blushed slightly. Shawn continued. Let's grab that drink. Let me handle this attorney situation. Relax, don't worry. We left the foyer and went to have a seat in the living room. He tried to make a threesome happen that night. It didn't work out. Not that day. 2 more chapters. Chapter 15, Queen Bitch. Kimora Simmons and I went to have drinks. She was looking at me seductively and I was turned on. We were going to go back to my place afterwards, but suddenly, after a sip of my drink, I felt like I had to vomit. I excused myself and barely made it to the ladies' room. When I came back, Kimora asked, "You feeling okay?" "I'm fine. I've been under the weather the last couple days. I think I'll head home." She said, "Your breasts are looking kind of plump there, girl." Embarrassed, I whispered, "Not in public." She replied simply, "Are you pregnant?" I was completely taken aback. "Why the hell would you say that?" She let it sit there for a minute. I bet in her head she was like, wait for it. Then it hit me. Shit. She gave me a minute before continuing. "So what you gonna do?" I didn't understand. Gonna do? If it's not Shawn's? Fuck. If it is? With the shock wearing off, the scope of the situation began to take hold. I responded, "I better get a test." She looked at me with pity. "Damn, girl. Good luck after what he did to Chris. I wouldn't want to be in your shoes." The desire that was in her eyes before I got sick was all but gone. As I began to stand, I realized what she said to me, and I paused. She looked at me flatly and said, "Ain't nobody stupid, girl." I didn't know what to say. The question still lingered in my mind despite everything I knew. Did Puffy intentionally kill Chris? She brought me back to the moment by saying, "Go." Not knowing what else to say, but knowing I had to deal with my situation right now, I replied, I'll hit you up." She sighed and simply repeated, "Good luck." Chapter 16, Christian. The next day I was sitting on my couch in deep thought when my doorbell rang. I went to let Shawn in. This was going to be scary. We made our way back to the living room and sat down. Quincy was asleep. Shawn seemed legitimately concerned. "What's so urgent?" I didn't know what else to do. I just blurted it out. "I'm pregnant." The air in the room was as thick as J-Lo. He was quiet. What was he thinking? I asked the question. He asked the obvious question. "Are you sure?" I spoke rapidly. "I was on the pill. I'll get rid of it. I'm sorry. I just wanted you to know." "That's wonderful. This is great." I was so confused. "Huh? You're not mad?" "Mad? No, why would I be mad at this wonderful news? I'm going to be a dad with the woman I love bearing my child. What could possibly be better?" He jumped right on the phone and called one of his besties. I could hear Will Smith congratulating him. Shawn said, "Yeah, definitely. Hold on, Kim, baby." I was still in awe of the fact that he didn't get angry, and yes, I'll admit, I was sure he was going to hit me. So it was a relief when I replied, "Yes?" He told me excitedly, "We're going to have a party." His excitement was contagious. I was getting really excited too. "Yes, a gender reveal," and he cut me off. "Yes, of course, we're going to do all of that, but everyone's going to want to sleep with you right before you give birth." My heart sank into my chest. "Everybody's going to want to what?" Shawn went on with the same excitement. "Well, not everybody, you know. Will, Jada, X." "Shawn, I'm having your baby." He verbally waved me off. "It'll be fine." I couldn't help myself. I just started crying. Shawn grew quiet on the phone, then spoke low. "I'll call you back." He hung up and took me by the hand. "Baby, I never ask anything of you." I tried to see him through the tears streaming down my face, but I couldn't believe the words coming out of his mouth. I tried to speak. "Shawn," he cut me off, "I'll provide anything anyone could ever want. Do you want for anything?" Sobbing, I replied, "No, but..." This is the kind of thing I have to do in order to keep giving you this comfortable lifestyle where you live in the lap of luxury and get to be on TV shows and in movies. I know you don't want this, but do you want all of this to go away? A whimper is all I could manage. No, then we gotta do this? But Shawn, I don't believe in all this spiritual crazy shit. We got here because you're brilliant, not because of the sex parties. Oh my God, she's referring to rituals, like actual energetic rituals where they have sex with pregnant ladies. This is actually a thing. Oh my God. So she's saying that he performed all those sex rituals to gain fame. Ooh, Illuminati confirmed. Do you trust me? I did. My soul was so broken that I did. I responded, yes. He sighed as he said, then let's do what we have to do to keep what we have. As I nodded yes, he pulled me in to hug me. Thank you, baby. We're going to have a beautiful baby. He ordered me some food, and that night I cried myself to sleep. I was going to be gangbanged at 9 months pregnant. I want my children out of this life. My child's going to have a good biblical name, a heavy Christian name. They are not going to take his soul. Whoa. Chapter 16, Broken Promises. I don't know how this managed to stay out of the media for so long, but Shawn got to the point where he was incredibly abusive and only his inner circle knew about it. The artists were all too afraid of him to say anything. He had gained so much power. No one would say anything. Puff Daddy was a kingpin. This Monday afternoon, Quincy was in school and our son Christian was with the nanny. I still had to make a living. I still loved the camera and just been cast for a new movie. Shawn was coming over to celebrate with me, just the two of us. I was in the bathroom when he came in. We were supposed to go out for dinner, but he was in a foul mood. Shawn yelled, "What the fuck?" I would have to walk on eggshells as I came out of the bathroom, but I found him holding flowers, so I smiled. "You brought the flowers!" Shawn yelled, "No! So who the fuck are they from?" I was bewildered, and I told him honestly, I don't know. Probably just a fan. He threw the attached card at me. I picked it up and read it. "Shawn, he slapped me so hard I hit the ground." Shawn yelled, "Who the fuck were you with the other night?" I looked down at the card that was lying on the ground, and it read, "The other night was amazing. We must do it again." Shit. I tried to explain. Shawn, he threw the flowers at me. "That's not how this works. You have my child. You don't touch anyone unless I allow it." He yelled, "It was just coffee with the producer. It was nothing." He glared at me and asked, "Who the fuck is this producer?" I was trying desperately to calm him down as I responded, "From the movie, babe. Calm down." He picked up my coffee mug and slammed it against the wall. Coffee flew everywhere as he yelled, "Who the fuck is this dude think he is?" "Shawn, he's just some producer. We talked about the role and me maybe starring in another movie that he wants to produce. I swear, that is it, Shawn." Shawn exploded even more. "He wants to put the move on my fucking family?" At the top of his lungs, "My fucking family?" He flipped the table over, breaking it. It was a heavy table, but Shawn is stronger than he looks. I pleaded with him. "Shawn, please." He yelled at me. I tried my best to calm him down. "He probably didn't know. It didn't come up. You're publicly dating someone else." So he screamed at me, and someone seemed even more intense. "So you didn't tell him to back off?" "Shawn, I didn't." And then out of nowhere, he hit me with a chair. I don't remember anything after that until I woke up in a hospital room. My arm was in a cast, hanging from a sling. My face hurt. My eyebrow was in immense pain, as was my lip. As I came to, the first face I saw was one of the man who had put me there. Shawn asked with concern in his voice, "How are you feeling?" I responded, "Stay away from me." "I'm sorry. I don't know what came over me. Save it for the lawyer. Stay away from me." We were in a private hospital room and no one would hear me. I could scream like my life depended on it and it wouldn't matter. If I did ring for assistance, I wouldn't get any. He kept going. I was just so jealous. You know how I am. He took a hold of my left arm, the one that was not in a cast. "You have our beautiful son, our family. It's just," at that point I had enough. "The one you slutted out right before giving birth? Are you fucking shitting me? Stay away from me. Don't come near me or my kids. He continued to plead. I'm sorry, baby. I promise I'll never put hands on you again. I swear. I've heard this song one too many times. I spoke through gritted teeth. If you come near me or my kids again, I'm calling the cops. A flash of anger returned. You would use my kid to threaten me? Then he caught himself. I understand you're angry. I glared at him as I cut him off. I'm serious, Shawn. He spoke blandly with no energy. And tell them that you had a car accident. They'll pity you. Then that you hit your head. He was going to make me look crazy. They weren't going to believe him. He was a kingpin. You're a fucking bastard. Shawn spent the next 6 months helping me heal and working his way back into my life and into my bed. I was so damn stupid, and of course, I wasn't cast for either movie. From what I understand, the producer died of pneumonia. Chapter 15, Sweet Goodbyes. Shawn kept his word for the most part until he didn't. I ended up pregnant again. He wanted energy from that too. That would be my last sex party. My body will never be ravaged by so many people again, especially while I'm pregnant. What if something actually happened to the twins? After that, I wanted out. But when I tried dating someone else, they would end up dead from pneumonia. I knew Shawn was behind it. This was not a coincidence. He gets jealous of a guy and they die of pneumonia. I could be next. If I'm going to get out of this alive, I'm going to have to do something that might make him stay away from me. I have a plan, but it's dangerous. Shawn has a vault where he keeps videotapes of all his conquests. I started sleeping with him again. After he falls asleep, he was starting to drink heavily. I would get into the vault and get a couple of the tapes, take them home, make copies, and swap them for the next set of tapes a few days later. It took weeks to get them all copied, and he never knew I had them. This was my way out. Some of the tapes had things I would never have expected. The gay parties are one thing, but the young boys like Usher, Little Bow Wow, and Justin Bieber, I never would have known. My God, is he grooming Quincy? This has to end. I invited him over one day to confront him and to put an end to our on-again, off-again relationship. He entered my home unannounced for the last time. He would no longer have the key after today. I was in the kitchen. Kimura and I were sharing drinks. I was scared to face him alone. Shawn entered smiling. What's up, Kimmy? Hey, Mora. I told Shawn, sit down. Because of my tone, he looked at me stunned and asked, what's going on? What is this? I responded with delight. Me taking my life back. We're done. He answered, hold on. Wait a minute. I was so excited that I wasn't hearing any of it. I shouted at him, no more. This is fucking over. He looked confused as he said, where's all this coming from? With disgust, I said, I got the footage, Shawn. He looked even more confused as he inquired, what are you talking about? Kimura said with revulsion, Usher too? Shawn said, wait, what the fuck is going on? Oh my God, I have literal chills all over my body. Shawn stood aggressively, and Kimura responded, don't make me call the cops. Shawn's anger was creeping in as he replied, this is how it is? I simply nodded. If anything happens to either one of us, it gets released. He seethed as he queried, after all I've done for you? I don't think I was ever as so happy as when I said those words to him. Get out. Pissed, he started to leave, looking back at me with pure hatred. As he walked down the stairs, he turned around in a fury and lunged at me. He knocked me down near the top of the stairs. I was hurt. Kimura screamed, stop! As he began to crouch over me, I kicked at him, kicking him in the kneecap, then his face. He went tumbling down the stairs. He was too hurt to get up. I called the cops. Kimura left before they arrived. When he left, it was in an ambulance. I felt empowered. I felt safe. The Shawn Combs days had finally come to an end. Chapter 19, Finale. Things were okay for a while. I started dating again. It was almost normal until I got serious with someone. Then my boyfriend died of pneumonia. I knew it was Shawn. That's when I decided to write this book. A few days ago, my home was burglarized. Only laptops were stolen. I know that it was that bastard or his goons. Of course, I had a copy in the cloud that I was easily able to download here onto this new computer. As I continue to write now, I'll send this into the cloud as well. I will send out copies via email, and my Google Drive password will be attached so the missing chapters can be accessed. This book must get out. There are many more chapters to add. This outline is a great start. I have to organize the rest of the chapters and add them in little by little. I planned on spending today working on exactly that, but I'm not feeling very well. Thank God the kids aren't here this weekend so I can rest. I called Kimura to cancel our tentative plans for a meetup. When I spoke to her, she said, "Girl, that doesn't sound like the flu. You want to go to the hospital?" That didn't immediately alarm me. "I just need some rest," I told her, and quickly got off the phone. "But why can't I get my doctor? Why won't he pick up the phone?" "Oh no," I called Shawn from my bedroom where I'm lying in my bed. All I could think about was the kids, my babies who are with this monster, the man that I now suspect of having done this to me. Shawn picked up with an air of superiority in his tone and let me know it was too late for me. He spoke confidently into the phone. "Hello?" I screamed at him. "You bastard, I have your fucking children." "What are you talking about? The kids are with me." He replied with mocking innocence. "There's literally nothing I can do. I could only ask, did you ever love me?" Instead of answering the question, he responded, "The most important thing to me in this world is loyalty." I couldn't believe it. I had to ask even though I understood. "What the fuck does that mean?" With the same feigned innocence, he mocked, "Kim, is something wrong?" He's going to continue this game to the bitter end. I asked one last time, "How could you?" Again, with the narcissism I had now come to despise, he responded, "How could I? Do what? I gave you everything. You went to someone else. You just left me like everyone else did." "You asked how could I? How could I what?" I yelled, "Look what you did to everyone around you." There was only anger in his response. "So you're saying everyone leaves because of how I am, and you were going to expose me?" He had me burglarized. I knew it. I shouldn't have threatened him. I should have just published the book. I'm going to die, like Heavy D, like Biggie, like Pac, like so many others, and it's because he's a monster, plain and simple. Before hanging up, I simply say, "That's not the only copy, you fuck!" Then I shoot out a group text. I let everyone know he got me. Then I call 911. As I sit here waiting for the ambulance, I'm writing this chapter and praying that I make it to the hospital. I don't feel like writing anymore. I may not be around to see it in print. It's okay. I'm sending it out. He won't get away with this. I will have my final say, my final words. Shawn Combs will get exposed, even if I lose my life doing it. My kids have always been my most cherished possession. I want the world to know that. But more importantly, I want them to know.